Chapter 13 is converting apothecary and metric measurements. After reading through Chapter 13, you should, of course, and after studying it, the student should be able to describe the significance of the apothecary measure in pharmacy, perform conversion from apothecary to metric units, perform conversion from metric to apothecary units. Make sure that on page 97 that you memorize the table that gives you your apothecary measures, and it's on page 97 in your book under Chapter 13. So what that is, it tells you that 1 grain, remember GR stands for grain, equals 64.8 milligrams, often rounded though to 65 milligrams. Okay. Most of the examples in here use the more specific number, just to kind of let you know that. But if it, when you go to take your state test or your national test, it may tell you, it may give you the rounded version. Okay. 1 dram equals 5 milliliters, which is also equal to 1 teaspoon, and 1 fluid ounce is equal to 29.6 milliliters, which is often rounded to 30 milliliters. So some prescribers, of course, order medications using the apothecary system of measurement. So the most commonly used apothecary measures are grains to measure weight of solids and drams to measure volume of liquids. Okay, so this is pretty much about the same converting that we did in the last chapters, but you're just using a different measurement. Okay, so it's just the same way. So if you go here, your number 1 on page 99 says they want 3 grains, and remember, grams is abbreviated with just a regular G. Grains is going to be abbreviated GR. Okay. It is going to be equivalent to blank milligrams. So what you're going to do here is you look in your chart. First, you do your little cross conversion chart, and I always mark this one out down here. Bring down your 3 grains here, and bring down your milligram units here. Okay, so if you have grains here, you're going to put grains here. Okay. So then you look at your chart, and it tells you in your chart that you have, or your table has 1 grain is equal to 64.8 milligrams. And again, you could use the rounded version. But for this book, they 90% of the time, they want you to use the specific number. So 3 times 64.8 would be 194.4. So 3 grains is equal to 194.4 milligrams. Next question, number 2. You have a half a grain, and they're wanting to know what that is in the milligram form. Okay, what is it equivalent to in milligrams? So again, you want to take this, and you want to put it in a decimal form. So then you divide it, 1 divided by 2 be 0.5, excuse me. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put that in my cross. Take this out because we don't use that one. Bring down your milligram. Grains here, grains have to go down here. Okay, so these 2 are in your chart or your table. So you have 1 grain is equal to 64.8 milligrams. Again, you're going to multiply across and then divide. So that 1 times nothing would be 1. So 0.5 times 64.8 equals 32.4. So your answer would be 32.4. So a half of a grain is going to be equivalent to 32.4 milligrams. Okay, number 3. They're asking 3 drams is going to be equivalent to what in fluid ounces? Okay, so we come down here, bring our chart down. 3 drams. Okay, if it's drams here, you have to have drams here. Okay, and of course you want to have ounces here. Okay, but if you look in your chart, you don't have one that goes straight from drams to ounces. Okay, but you do have one that goes from drams to milliliters, and then milliliters to ounces. Okay, so we're going to do our long cross. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll take this to milliliters first. So you look in your chart and you see that 1 dram is equal to 5 milliliters. Okay, so if you have milliliters here, you have to have milliliters here. And then we're going to take it to fluid ounces. Okay, so if you look, of course, you have 29.5 milliliters is equal to 1 ounce. So then you multiply across, so 3 times 5 times 1 would be 15. And you multiply across on the bottom, 1 times 29.5. On the bottom, then you divide that, 15 of course divided by 29.5, and you're going to get 0.5, which is also a half ounce, or you could have said 0.5. Okay, number 4, this time you want to do 3 drams is equal to what in milliliters. Okay, so you have, just bring down your cross, or once you get used to it, you could just start going like this. To me, it's easier. You don't have to rewrite everything. So if you have drams here, you're going to have drams down here. Okay, so you look in your chart, see how many drams is equal to how many milliliters. So you have 1 dram is equal to 5 milliliters. So then you multiply across, so 3 times 5 would be 15, goes on the top. 1 times nothing will be 1, so it would be 15. So 3 drams is equal to 15 milliliters. Okay, I'll do one more here. Number 5, you have a half a dram. You want to see how much it is equal to in milliliters. Okay, set up your cross. Nothing ever goes here on the conversion one. So a half, you want to convert that to decimal. So that would be 0.5. And this is drams. And you want milliliters. If you have drams here, you have to have drams down here at the bottom. Again, look in your chart, you have 1 dram is equal to 5 milliliters. So 0.5 times 5 would be 2.5 over 1 would be 2.5. So a half a dram is going to be equal to 2.5 milliliters. Some of these, as you get used to them, you will be able to do them in your head. But until you get used to doing this, I always tell people to do the formula every time. Okay, now if you go back to page 102, this is still chapter 13, but it's telling you to use a dimensional analysis to solve the following questions. So some of these you can actually figure in your head, but some of them, like the first 2 I don't really care for. I mean, well, because it's a dimensional analysis, but one is just a conversion one, you can kind of just figure it. But I'll do one of those with you as a review, just the same as they were last time. We'll do 33. So it says, how many doses are in 100 milliliter bottle of penicillin? And penicillin is 250 milligram per 5 milliliter. if each dose is a half a teaspoonful. So all you're doing here is you're going to convert that half a teaspoon over to milliliters, and then you divide it to 100. So this one you kind of figure in your head. So half a teaspoon, which is going to be 0.5 because we have to put it in decimal form, and milliliters. Okay, so 1 teaspoon is equal to 5 milliliters. 0.5 times 5 is going to be 2.5. Okay. And then because it's asking for how many doses, your dose is a half a teaspoonful. So we've converted that half a teaspoon over to milliliters. And they're wanting to know how many of those doses are in 100 milliliters. So then all you do is you do 100 divided by 2.5. And of course you get your answer, which is 40. So it'd be 40 doses. So I want to do one more, because this is the ones that I like and that you may see more often of, is when you set it up in a ratio proportion question, and then you have to maybe convert one part of it in order to solve it. So number 34, if 100 tablets contains 40,000 milligrams of ibuprofen, how many grains are in 500 tablets? So if you look here, you already know that you have 40,000 milligram ibuprofen, of course, in 100 tablets. So that's our part that we know. Okay, and then they want to know how many grains, because grain is a weight, milligram is a weight, so we're going to put it on the top. Okay, so I'm just reading this, how many grains are in 500 tablets. So then your 500 tablets would be down here. So remember, when you do your ratio proportions, our units on the bottom have to match, and our units on the top have to match. Okay, but now we have milligrams and grains, so these are not matching. So then what we need to do, because we're actually solving for grains, oops, that's X, we need to convert the 400,000 over to grains. Okay, so what I usually do is I'll go down here somewhere on a scrap piece of paper, and I put 400,000. I will put milligrams here, and down to, and then grains. Okay, so then you're going to look in your chart, and you know that 1 grain is equal to 64.8 milligrams. So you multiply across, and you have 400,000 divided by 64.8 equals 400,000 times 1 would be 400,000. 64.8 times nothing is 64.8. Okay. So then, of course, when you do that calculation, it's 61728 grains. Okay. So then we're going to mark this out, and our new number is 617.28 grains. So now we have the same units on top, so we're good to do our ratio proportion. Okay. So now I'm going to erase this down here so I have enough room. Okay, so now I can solve. So then you just cross multiply. X times 100 goes on the bottom, because whatever you multiply by the X always goes on the bottom. Then you have 617.28 grains times 500, and that's 308,641.975. Okay, divide that by 100, and you come up with 3,086.4 grains. Okay, so go back through. You have plenty of those plain conversions to do for practice, and then of course you have all 5 of these discussion questions that you can solve as well too, using those same methods. So if you have any questions or need help with anything, again, just give me send me an email. We'll set up a time for my office hours. I can go over it with you.